Hello, welcome to the Kimbley IT podcast. I'm James, the founder of Kimbley IT, joined with Kyle as normal. And this week we've got Ivan Sidemore from Power Minerals, Director of Power Minerals, who's also a client of ours. How are you doing, Ivan?
Yeah, very good. Hello, everybody. All of the wonderful listeners.
Enjoying working from home?
Yeah, I have. I've really taken to it. Yeah, I am. I'm missing the travelling, the meetings, and things like that. That was my life, was non-stop in the car in the morning or on a plane or
on the golf course.
Or well, those have opened up again now. But yeah, it has been quite a nice. It's a bit of a shock to the system, but quite nice to get used to your own space. And it's actually been quite productive without all those hours travelling and meeting people and whatnot.
Well, we've got a great interview with you a bit later on, so we'll go into details about that. Listeners can hear more. Carl, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you, James. I'm all good.
What have you been up to in the last fortnight?
Well, outside of what we do in the work or in personal life?
Well, I was actually doing a segue into the recap of the last fortnight, and I thought it was quite a good segue. So you can tell us what you're doing.
I've been doing trying out videos, James, as you know, which is little 1 to 2 minute videos we do for customers, showing them how to do things, put them on LinkedIn, that kind of stuff. I've been doing a fair few of those. I haven't been out anywhere, obviously, at the moment, but I am seeing people starting to return back to their offices. I had that this morning. I can see that our customer in the car repair business, they're pretty much back to business now. So I'm going out soon.
How's your exercise going? You're doing a bike. You still got a bad leg?
No, my knee's better now. So I did a run yesterday. I know, James, that your exercise machine is broken and you're having a bit of a break from exercise. I'll give you a warning. If you break for too long, it's going to kill you when you go back, because that 6K yesterday hurt. It didn't hurt my knee. It hurt my mind. I just wanted to quit all the way through the thing, but I did it.
Did you feel better afterwards? Did you feel better afterwards, though, Kyle?
Oh, I did. When I got back and I was sat in the evening, I ran it from about 4 till 5, so it was still pretty warm. Yeah, I definitely felt really glad that I did it. But when I was doing it, my brain was just going, stop, stop, stop. And I had to just grind it out.
I don't think that ever changes, because I joined a running club, Penkridge, live in Penkridge, Penkridge Runners. Yeah. And it's a really good award-winning club, really good community spirit. But you start, you do your warm-up. That's the nice bit, the nice little warm-up. You meet everybody. And then you do the running bit, and it might be intervals, and it's just, why am I doing this? Da, da, da. And then you do the warm down, and you get home, and you think, oh, I'm really glad I did that. I feel great. But during it, it's just like psychologically, your mind's just battling to saying, stop, you're damaging yourself. Yeah, don't enjoy it. But during the lockdown, sorry to waffle on, during the lockdown, when they said you can exercise for half an hour a day, I was like, half an hour a day? Every day? Exercise? What's all that about? So I haven't quite managed that so far.
Well, I have a cross trainer and I go on it every morning for half an hour, but it sheared off the leg arm that goes around the elliptical thing. It just sheared off, so I've got a new one on order. I decided to go for a gym grade one this time, because hopefully that'll last longer than 18 months, and it's over a month until it gets delivered. There's such a shortage on exercise equipment, with people not being able to go to the gym, buying home equipment and all that kind of stuff. It needs to go into production and everything, which is a bit of a nuisance.
It's because you're such a powerhouse, you need the industrial equipment.
I just want it to last longer. I've been going through too many cheapo home-based style cross trainers.
Yeah.
You use it every day for 18 months. Yeah, it's probably had enough. Yeah, you've got to have gym grade equipment.
So getting back onto the recap of the last fortnight, I've been building Kimpedia. You might want one of these for Power Minerals, Ivan. So Kimpedia is our intranet.
I looked at your notes on the podcast and Kimpedia, and I thought, I like the idea of that. That's ideal. That's going to save a lot of time, when you've got new recruits and knowing what's what and where things are and who's who. in the business. Sorry, yeah, I'll let you introduce your Kimpedia.
It's based on Google Sites, so you've got it as you use G Suite. So it's just drag and drop. You don't need to know any coding or anything like that. You just go in, open. It's like opening a new document, like a new Google Doc, and you just drag elements into it. So it could be like a video up here, it could be some text here, it could be a calendar there. But we're just doing it to have a process in place because we've got it at the moment, but a lot of it's in our heads, and we just want to get it down on an intranet. So I've done a support section and now working on the how we do a Google rollout for businesses and stuff like that. So it's on there. So anyone who starts with Kimbley IT has all that information. They can get to it straight away rather than needing to constantly asking myself or Kyle how to do certain things.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I looked at how you did it, James. It's nice. Loads of businesses would really benefit from having something like that rather than lots of PDFs, or as some companies have, very little at all.
Google Sites is
get on with the job. Google
Sites one of those services in G Suite that is there, but no one really knows about it unless you tell them about it. And it's kind of like an ignored site, but it's pretty an ignored area of G Suite, but it's pretty powerful when you start to use it. It just, you got to put quite a bit of time into it because building an intranet is not something you do overnight. It's something you build continuously over time.
Well, I know somebody in our business that would love to put some effort into that. Somebody you recently interviewed.
Ah, okay. The star of the podcast from 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, well, I've got a lot to live up to, apparently.
So they're all going to be listening in on this then. We've been updating our ad campaigns as well because we had quite a bit of success with our adverts recently. We've got a new client for an advert. The advert cost us about £5.55 for the actual click, and that's going to bring in quite a bit of money over the next 3 years. So just focusing a bit more on our online advertising, and I've got a new advertising campaign that I'm going to be working on later this week to roll out over one of the networks that we advertise on.
So you mentioned click there. So where does that ad appear? Just on a search? Or...
So we have them on search and social networks, but I'll tell you privately exactly which one that was on.
Okay.
Don't want everyone else copying us and then advertising about the cost per click up because you bid against other people. See in online advertising. So when you do a search for Google, all those results you see, those companies are bidding against each other, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the highest bid. It's got to be the most relevant to your search. But that's how you get ranked on the page for the adverts on the Google search result. But of course, if you've got more people bidding on the same keyword, the same search term that you've entered, the cost per click goes up.
So it was totally new customer, spotted the ad, clicked through, got to you.
Went to the website. The website sold them on 90% they were sold because they'd been through the whole website. They knew the prices. They knew absolutely everything. And they booked a video call with us. They actually went on the online chat gadget, chatted with Carl for about 20 minutes and then booked a video call later in the day, which I joined in as well. And it was literally the last 10% was just chatting to me and Carl just to get to know us. And the deal was done there and then. Within 24 hours, they became a new client, and they were already using G Suite, but they weren't using it properly because they hadn't implemented it. They'd done it themselves, and they didn't know all the functionality and stuff like that. So they weren't using Google Drive to store files. They were still using Dropbox and lots of other services. So those services could be removed, lower their costs, and get it all inside G Suite. But they needed someone like us to be able to help them do that and get it sorted and support them ongoing.
Yeah, sounds amazing.
Exactly how you want your marketing journey to go. Literally, the last step is making sure that James and I aren't somebody that they couldn't stand seeing the sight of, pretty much is what it was. You can't work with them if you don't like them. That's pretty much what it came down to.
Yeah.
And they were good. Black country folk, so it was good for me to get back out there as well. I hadn't seen the black
excellent.
for a while.
Heart of the Industrial Revolution.
That's it. I went out to site and was PPE'd up, and it was all right.
You pinpointed their location based on their accent as well, which was quite impressive.
Yeah. Well, black country folk like people to know where they're from because everyone makes an assumption they're all the same, and they're very regionalised. They're very localised, in fact. And you can make jokes about areas and stuff.
You can. So you can tell the difference between an accent if you are from this area. And I dread to think what the sound of my own voice is, but I'm sure I'll listen to it after. But when people saw something recently. It said, don't bother trying a Brummie accent or a regional, a Birmingham or a Midlands accent if you're from outside the area, because you just sound like an idiot. And it's like actors, isn't it? When they try to put that accent on, just doesn't sound right. But you can pick it up if you're local. Pretty much exactly where they're from, whether it's Wolverhampton or Dudley or, well, Stoke's completely different, isn't it? But you can pick people up. So,
yeah, I can definitely tell someone who's grew up in West Birmingham compared with East Birmingham. There's no doubt that's as distinct to me as West London to East London accent is. There's a definite difference, but someone from outside the region wouldn't have a clue.
Mm.
Yeah,
but we're not gonna try making impressions now, though.
No, I don't need to make any impressions. It's already there.
So on to the news then. So we've got about 4 news items to roll through here. So I listen to podcasts a lot, and you do, Carl, and I think you do as well, Ivan, because you mentioned it in the past that you listen to podcasts.
Yeah. I like
you mentioned Joe Rogan as well.
Yeah, Joe Rogan. Watch the. I tend to watch them on YouTube rather than anything else.
Okay.
When I just listen, I tend to just sort of drop off to sleep, and I tend to do it on an evening anyway. So it's kind of a method. If I want to drop off to sleep, I'll just listen. But then I quite like to see the interaction. I like to see the nods and the smiles and the frowns and the responses to questions. But yeah, watch the recent one. Didn't watch it all in one go, but the Joe Rogan and Elon Musk, or the 2 that he's done with Elon Musk, and I find that guy sort of fascinating, really. But I don't watch all of the Joe Rogans, but I just sort of watch the ones that have got the interesting people on.
That's what I do.
The news story is about Joe Rogan in that Spotify has now acquired exclusively his podcast for $100 million. So he's a very rich man off that. But the thing with that is it's because it's exclusive to Spotify, you're going to have to use the Spotify app to listen to that going forward. So you won't be able to get that on YouTube anymore, Ivan. They're going to be, I think they're going to be snippets on there, but you're going to be pushed towards going to Spotify to listen to it. And this is why on the show notes I've written that the deal kind of marks the end of the golden era of podcasting, because previously podcasts were just out there, they were free to access, and you could use them on access them however you wanted to, like YouTube for you, Ivan, Pocket Casts for me on my mobile phone, and I think you use Stitcher, don't you, on your phone, Carl, to listen to it?
That's right.
But this deal's changing it all now. Spotify seems to be trying to take ownership of, well, basically buying out all the top podcasts and then forcing you to have to use their application. And I think the Spotify application is awful at the moment. Hopefully they'll improve it, but it's just the way it's going to go now, podcasting. I don't think you're going to have free access to everything. There's going to be definitely podcasts that are super exclusive, and some you're probably going to have to pay like a monthly membership to even listen to certain podcasts. That's the way it's going to go, and it's a shame because there's so many good podcasts out there. I'm a big true crime listener on podcasts because they're really quite interesting, and likewise with you, Carl. And there's definitely going to be ones like Serial and stuff like that will probably become at some point maybe a pay to access kind of podcast.
That's interesting. True crime. Let me send me the link to that true crime one, James, because that's fascinating, isn't it?
There's loads out there. There's loads of true crime podcasts that you'll enjoy if you like listen to it.
I think it will split, James, because Luminet's already chargeable, and they have like Russell Brand and stuff, and then you already pay for Luminet. Spotify, okay, you're going to have to listen to it, and you can't watch Joe Rogan anymore on YouTube, but you will be able to watch the clips. It will split down into premium content that you pay for, and then in some of the individual content done by people like us, that's all going to remain on the other apps. So it'll just become a split world, in the same way that you might say that some television quality stuff on Netflix is, you can't ever make a Netflix show unless you're in proper production, but you can make a great film and put it on YouTube with you and a few of your friends. You could make a quality movie, and it's going to be that kind of split, I think. I know, you say it's the golden era, but it's been around now, what, 16, 17 years podcasting?
Yeah, I'd say probably the last 5 years has been the golden era.
Okay.
Where you've just been able to get access to whichever podcast you want, and they've been getting better quality all the time. Like BBC brings out some fantastic podcasts. like the Crypto Queen and things like that. But it'd be a bit of a shame if they get locked down.
What would you do? What would you do, James, if Spotify came to you for the Kimbley IT podcast?
I would sell it.
Sell your stock.
Apprehension, Ivan, about James.
They wouldn't have to pay that much either.
Catch out, and so will I. I think it's highly unlikely.
Well, I quite like Spotify as a, in music, because I've got a family of 5.
Yeah.
So I've signed up for the family, package. Everyone's got their own login, their own playlists, their own, and there's no adverts. You can just get as much music as you want. I mean, I used to have to, well, I'm sure we all used to have to go down to HMV and, buy our tapes or our records and, our CD. I mean, my kids are just like, why would you want to get a physical CD or something like that and put it into a machine and, have all of these? It's just crazy, but and it's great for just exploring and discovering new music and that's what I think technology, this sort of technology and is opened up our world, hasn't it, for discovering what we really like.
It's good. Podcasts are great. I wish you could just listen to it how you wanted to listen to it rather than these exclusives now.
Mm. If you've got big celebrities and and they want, and it's that sort of level of platform, it becomes, well, I guess you start to monetize, in YouTube, this sort of like, they want to make money, and then it becomes bigger, and it's like a snowball, and it becomes something where, these podcasters are not kind of like, backroom, kind of just a few people that, it's like a little sort of, clique thing that's happening. It's it's a big it's all about the money, isn't it? And promotion and celebrity, and it's another channel.
Spotify have got to go up against Apple. They've got to go up against Amazon on music. They have to maintain their business model and they have to be successful, James. So it's inevitable these things that happen. Look what's happened recently. Now, if I want my kids to watch Disney, I've subscribed to Disney Plus because everything's moved to Disney Plus app. So now I've got Amazon Prime, mostly for delivery, Netflix and Disney Plus, and no doubt there'll be something else at some point I'll have to subscribe to. And most of us are going to own 4 or 5 subscription services.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Well, one reason Spotify has acquired Joe Rogan is to sell more music, in that Joe Rogan brings a lot of people to Spotify, and Spotify's business model is just get people on subscriptions. So the more people you can bring into the app, the more likely they're going to sign up to the rest of the app and start streaming music. And that's their way of competing against Apple's iTunes by having the best podcasts available exclusively on Spotify. So you're forced to use their app, and then you're most likely going to start using their music and streaming services.
I think it's a bargain. I think it's like, what is it, sort of $15.99 a month? I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's a family package. Yeah,
for the family package. So when I used to trundle down to HMV and buy a CD for 13 quid or 15 quid, and you think, well, okay, that's one CD a month in my mind, and I thought, but it just opens up. I've literally in one day I can download a whole, filing cabinet full of CDs. That's amazing value, especially.
I actually think the best music streaming service is YouTube Music. So it's the same price as what you're playing on Spotify, but there's a difference with YouTube Music that the others haven't got. So YouTube Music has the same catalog that everyone's got, so the professionally done stuff, but it also has the live versions on there that people have uploaded onto YouTube, and the artists have uploaded onto YouTube. While you're listening to a song, you can flick between the video version and the audio version at the same time, but you then have access to all the live videos, the concerts that the artists have also uploaded on there in video. Also, all the bootleg stuff that fans have made and put on there as well, which you just don't get in the other music streaming apps.
So you're saying I might have to sign up to that as well?
I've signed up to YouTube Music. I did Spotify for a bit, but I just didn't like the app. I didn't like the discovery. It wasn't as great on discovery, but YouTube Music is, give it a go. It is really powerful, especially if you like listening to live music, because the selection is unbelievably bigger than all the others.
Yeah, and I guess you get the videos as well, don't you?
You do, yeah, and you can flip between them in real time.
They've taken all the stuff that they would have closed off for copyright infringement and given it to you when you pay. So everyone's given them for free.
Wow. There you go. I've got True Crime and YouTube Music so far.
Yeah.
Bionic Eye next. You can have one of them.
Yeah, so Carl knows that I'm quite interested in technology that helps with sight. I actually think it's going to be the first, if you call it an illness, the first illness that will be cured using technology. If you were, as long as you weren't born blind, if you were born blind, that's going to take a lot longer because you're probably missing vital connections, and hence the reason why you can't see. But if you lost your sight later in life, I strongly believe that technology will bring that back within the next 5 to 10 years. If you're blind now, but you originally had sight, you'll be able to see again just as you did before previously. And that's just using links, because the difference between an eye and a camera isn't that much. And in the end, it's basically getting that camera connected to your neural system inside your head, so your brain can start processing the image again, because your brain hasn't forgotten how to process the image. It just can't get the image because you've got some kind of connection problem with your eye. So the data that's coming into your eye can't do it. So this is a Hong Kong University science, and they've claimed they developed a robotic eye that mimics a human eye, and even outperforms it on under certain measures. So you actually get better quality vision from this eye than you'd had previously. And it's hopefully within the next decade, it's feasible that will be a robotic eye that can be put in with surgery that brings eyesight back once it's connected into the nerve system.
Brilliant.
That's fascinating, James, in that, yeah, it's going to be better than the human eye because technology advances and the eye doesn't. It doesn't degenerate over age, and you don't need to find your readers. So that's definitely going to happen. You're going to when will come the point in which you go, I'm having a bionic eye fitted?
Anyway, my eyesight's fine, but I'm going to have two bionic eyes.
Yeah, this is all linked to what Elon Musk was saying in that last podcast, Ivan, about the neural links, and he's saying how that could fix a quadriplegic person could walk again, because basically the compute technology is just going to give the signals the body wants to hear, and that's what the camera sees. It sends the brain the right signal, and bingo, you get vision.
There's one thing that I've always thought about with technology and dentures. Dentures must be getting better over time. So there's going to be a point where you actually decide, you know what, I can't be asked to brush my teeth every morning and night. Let's just get my teeth removed and get some top quality dentures put in there that just replace it, and then you don't have to worry about that at all anymore.
Interesting you mentioned that, James. That was actually a common practice 100 years ago.
That was more to do with the money, though, wasn't it? Because the dentist made a lot of money out of it rather than it being better for you.
Well, it was the inevitability that you would lose your teeth. So yeah, just have them all extracted at once and have a set of dentures shoved in. I know what you're saying. You're saying that there'll come a point now in which this cleaning philosophy kind of goes out the window, because we can have these nano cleaning dentures, that root in.
Self-cleaning, stick them in there, self-cleaning. They just bond with the body. But the eyes always fascinated me.
It's the beginning of the end, Ivan. In a few hundred years' time, we'll be just living conscious thoughts, and we'll just play simulations of this point in history. I'm going back to the 80s. And you'll just go back to the 80s, and you won't even be alive. You'll just be a chip that's just a conscious thought forever.
Well, it's like RoboCop, isn't it? Going back to the 80s. It's it's completely destroyed body. Like get him into the lab, reconstruct him.
Didn't Steve Austin have a bionic eye? The $6 million man. I think he did. I think he had a bionic eye.
There's a bionic eye. I'd like a couple of bionic eyes, because you could with spotting these the International Space Station going over, you could say, right, well, I'll have one that actually can like zoom. And like look at the moon. You could really advance the technology of vision, couldn't you? When I was watching the Elon Musk and the Neuralink and implanting this thing in your brain, and it is all these electronic signals, and I don't profess to know how on earth we're going to get there, but essentially it's just the brain, isn't it? So keep the brain, all our consciousness is in here. So the rest of the body is simply a electromechanical sort of machine.
All replaceable.
It's a biological type of, but it's all replaceable.
Yeah.
And there's obviously lots of parts that are, you know, legs and arms and things like that, and hands and things that they can get to work. So I'm completely up for getting a complete, apart from the brain and the casing, you know, just plug me in to a brand new body, you know, Terminator style. Don't have to worry about heart attacks or anything like that. Just have
would you be happy to live forever if that was able, if that was if you could choose to live forever, would you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if I would.
You wouldn't want to live forever?
Yeah. Depends. It depends on AI. We're getting really deep now. It depends on if we get into super AI, where AI is more intelligent than a human, because there'll be no need for us to be around. But what I would like is to live to 200 years. I think a human's life is too short at roughly 100 years, let's say. 200 years, I think, is a nice period to see how things go on, see how things develop. You get a much bigger window. Living forever, you could get bored, to be fair. At one point, you'll have done everything, and there will be nothing left for you to do.
It'd get very heavily populated, wouldn't it, if we kept creating new people? I mean, we're already on a busy planet.
Yeah.
So if everybody lived forever, we'd just be absolutely rammed. But then again, I do think that we just need to, find a few more planets to live on.
We need to find one to start off with.
Well, we got one. We've got one, but we're managing to ruin that one. So we need to find some new ones to exploit.
Before we get too deep, and the podcast goes on for 4 hours, we'll get on to the next news item, which is actually an Android versus iPhone competition. So it's a viral video that went out, and it was showing live voice transcription between an Android device and an iPhone device. Live transcription is where you talk to your phone and it puts the text up on the screen. For that to work efficiently and for you to be able to use it well, it needs to basically be real time. If it's falling behind, it means you have to pause and wait to see if it's caught up and if it's actually put what you told it to put into, which breaks your train of thought. Because when you're transcribing an email, say Ivan on your phone, if you ever did it, you want that to be straight away. You don't have to pause and wait for it to catch up, make sure it's all right, and then say your next bit and next bit. This is the problem with the iPhone. The iPhone falls behind on real-time transcription by almost 6 seconds. It doesn't sound a lot, but actually you're waiting around for 6 seconds for the words to appear in the right order. That's actually very inefficient, and you are going to lose your train of thought. While with an Android, you can just say that in one go, and it gets it almost spot on, perfect, instantaneously. And that's what it's the same like Google Translate. If you're talking to someone in a different language and the words are popping up on the screen, you need that to be real time. You can't be waiting 6 seconds for those words to appear and hope that they're right. So it was just an interesting comparison that they did between the two devices.
There you go.
Yeah, we should never debate that one, because we might as well debate Marmite versus I don't like Marmite with that. But it is good news, James, that this kind of technology is improving all the time, and I'm really happy about it. I've used it before on Android, and it's awesome. So if it's getting better, that's even more awesome. So
the final news story is working from home, which we're all doing. Google's announced that it's going to be giving £1,000 to every employee so they can go and fit out their own home office if they opt to stay working from home. It's interesting because the BBC brought an article out, and it's got a quote here from some well-known brands. So the notion of putting 7,000 people into a building may be a thing of the past, said the boss of Barclays, while Morgan Stanley's chief said that the bank will have much less real estate in the future, and businessman Sir Martin Sorrell said he'd rather invest 35 million he spends on expensive offices in people instead.
Yeah.
I've been speaking to some of our clients, actually, Ivan, and some of them are going to reduce their offices or let the leases expire when they expire. I know one company that's got an office on Cornwall Row, which they're paying something like $6,500 per month on rent, and the lease expired during this period. You can't time it better, and they're not renewed the lease, and everyone's working from home. And with that money they save from the rent, they can quite easily give each of their employees £1,000 to go and sort themselves out for an office.
Yeah.
I also think that it might save companies like WeWork So WeWork was failing because it's never made any profit and it was massively overvalued. But I think co-working places such as WeWork are going to make a big comeback in that. Say for Power Minerals, for example, if you decided you didn't want an office anymore, you may have some staff that are happy to work from home, but you may have some staff that every so often they want to go out and work somewhere else. So having a co-working location with a membership that you've bought for all your employees, and they can just pop in whenever they want to this co-working place to work, that's fantastic for them, and it's way cheaper for the business as well.
It's like a pure gym, but for work.
Absolutely, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see WeWork style companies get together with companies like Pure Gym to combine the two. Because go to work, go to the gym, go work for a bit, go to the swimming pool, go home. That becomes, I like that. That's like a really nice day out. I get everything in once, and then I go home, put food in it, healthy food in it as well. So Pret a Manger and all those people that are going, what we're going to do because no one's buying sandwiches, they get inside that, and that could be the next big boom. These like work pod places.
Yeah, like a sort of central place, and also you've got a bit of crossover in terms of meeting people.
Yep.
You're not talking to the same people every day that are driving you nuts. You know.
Yeah.
You go in and you're bumping into people. Okay. Beyond the virus, but you've got this sort of interaction, and that's the type of thing I like about when you talk to people and you meet people in networking events or whatever. That's kind of like adds a little bit of sort of day to day, just your networking on a personal level. So if you're chatting to somebody in the gym, what are you working? What do you do? That's the sort of question, and then randomly they go, oh, well, I know such and such, and he needs this, and that sort of environment, that sort of would be really good for that. Yeah, I quite like that sort of vision.
I think Mark Zuckerberg put it well. He said, at the moment, before COVID, you used to have off-sites where you take your team out, and maybe you go, like in your case, maybe go to the golf course, have a day out there, have a business meeting, then go swing some bats in the afternoon.
Clubs. Cricket.
But rather than having an off-site now, post COVID-19, you're now on sites. So most people will be working off-site, and then every so often, maybe once a month or twice a month, you'll have a get-together in an office maybe, or a meeting room somewhere, and that'll be your on-site. Yeah, or the golf course it is your office, isn't it? Normally.
It is now. Now it's opened. You can go to the golf course, but you can't go to the office.
It's going to happen. They say, James has said, the top tech companies are leading it. The top banks will start doing it. It'll come from the bottom up. Like James and I work from home because why would we put the money into an office for two people? That would be kind of egotistical and wasting of money. And then it will meet in the middle, as it always does. It squashes down to the companies in the middle. There's no doubt it's the way to go. We can reduce commuting. We can have more time to offset our day. We can spend more time with our children. There's so many good plus points to not having to go to a centralised office 5 days a week. But I agree with you, Ivan. I would go into Telford up the road, cycle into Telford, and I'd welcome going to a shared space once or twice a week to see some people. I like to see some people too, and not simply be on my own all the time. So I think that balance is important.
Yeah. I mean, I think that that concept of having a tower block full of people in Canary Wharf, and why everybody's got to go to these sort of like high value kind of retail offices. This is the center of everything. What's going on there? The technology now just means that all that expertise, the expertise that is a real genius out there, but he lives I don't know, in Canada and doesn't want to move to London. You could employ him wherever you are to do his business. And he could be in a hub. He could be anywhere. He could be on his kayak somewhere.
It's the great enabler. The internet is the great enabler of people who are remote.
And the thing with the work from home is people working from home, those big tower blocks, there's a shortage of houses. They can be changed into smart condos and apartments for people to go and live in instead, rather than office blocks anymore.
Well, it's getting onto the town centre discussion, isn't it? Where they become living environments rather than these retail shopping environments. Why we're trying to save the high street, but it's like trying to save something that's dead, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's always more coming towards social, cafe culture, and if you've got these work environments as well, there could be places that you go into for a new environment, networking. Obviously, when we're allowed to meet people.
James, you'll have seen the 2015 film Steve Jobs with Michael Fassbender. Have you seen that version of the Jobs film?
I've not seen that version.
Watched it last night on Netflix. It's not bad. We all know about Steve Jobs. Interesting part, right at the start, there's a clip of Arthur C. Clarke being interviewed in 1964 with a young child, and he says to the young boy, this room full of computers, by the year 2000, you'll have it in front of you, and you won't have to go to work anymore because the computer will enable you to dial in from home. And I'm like, wow, that dude knew his stuff, man. This is 64, and he's saying in the year 2000, you'll dial in. He was a little early, but the reality of it now, that's the exact truth of what's happening right now.
Only 10 years early, to be fair.
Yeah, I know. You watch it and you go, that's uncanny. But Arthur C. Clarke, he did know his stuff. It's good. If you want a movie about Jobs to see what a delightful father he was, watch Steve Jobs' 2015 film.
I'll have to watch that. That's another one I'm writing down.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good watch.
I like the old clips of Tomorrow's World as well. Those are quite good. Sometimes
on YouTube. Yeah, they're funny there as well.
We're ruining James's schedule now.
Sorry, James.
I'm happy to overrun. But yeah, we can go for it. We'll on to your interview now, Ivan.
Oh,
you ready? You ready? You in the hot seat?
Yeah, serious bit.
It is. So you guys have been clients with us. I think it's getting about 4 years. I think we worked out with Amy, roughly around about that time.
Yeah, it's going really quick, isn't it? It still feels fresh.
Yeah.
Feels fresh.
So I thought we'd start off by finding out a bit more about Power Minerals. So if you want to let us know what Power Minerals was, essentially when it was founded, what its purpose and its goals are, that'd be a great start to this interview, I think.
Yeah, so Power Minerals, a lot of people say to me, what do you do? And I think, oh no, how do I explain this? But it's fairly simple. The company was founded in 2003 by two guys, two individuals, much like yourself and Kyle, who had a vision. Nigel Waldron and Peter Brennan, and they both worked for the Central Electricity Generating Board. And as it privatised and become more sort of commercial, they both worked in the kind of ash, so big, huge, dirty coal-fired power stations, and they produce an ash, much like a volcanic ash. And the Romans used this material for building, making the first concrete, and so it's an old technology. So we are an ash. We are the UK's leading ash marketer. So we provide a service to, I would say now, ash owners or ash producers. So we will market and we will sell that ash for you. So we'll do everything from just providing a sales service, distribution service, right through to managing the handling and processing of the material. And then if you're a user, the other side, so we've got sort of two customers, one's a producer and one's a user. For a user, they're looking for a source of raw materials at the right time, the right quality, and the right price. And we'll provide that for you either from one source or multiple sources to your needs. So we sell ash, and we look for the sources. We contract the sources. We look after all the logistics. And we turn those materials, which previously would have gone to landfill, and many millions of tons did go to landfill, and we'll divert that away from landfill, turn it into a valuable product, and it goes out for reuse, for use in concrete, cement manufacture, building roads, building blocks in your houses, bricks, you name it. There's a whole host of uses for this ash. And essentially, wherever you find a natural mineral like sand or limestone, that can be replaced by ash, because this ash is essentially, was the mineral that was in the ground when the coal was dug up, and when it's fired, the resulting material is that sand and silt that was in the primeval deposits of those forests that eventually became coal.
And how did you get involved with power minerals, Ivan? Is it something you've always been doing, dealing with ash, or how did you get involved?
Yeah, so good question, because I always say to people, from a young boy, I wanted to be involved with ash, which is not true. No. When I talk to people, people say, "Oh, right, I didn't really think about that." Yeah, oh, yeah. So ash, interesting, and then they move on to another subject. Yeah, so I started out as an apprentice. I wanted to build aeroplanes, so I was in aerospace, and I was a technical apprentice. Did mechanical engineering, manufacturing. I worked on the first gearbox for the Eurofighter. Worked on Boeing components and stuff like that. And that's what I wanted to do. It was all about manufacturing high tech stuff. And then very quickly learned that even though you want to do something, life doesn't necessarily let you do it. And there was recessions and redundancies. So I decided to, I got another role in engineering, which is a Scotland Midlands thing to do, manufacturing and engineering. And then I decided to leave, go to university, study management. And then once I'd done that, I thought the world owed me something. So I should have a wonderful job. But then obviously it's still difficult. You've got to compete. And it was then that I got involved with a big building materials manufacturer, rugby, RMC Rugby cement company, and they utilised a lot of ash, and that's where I first got involved with ash from a user's perspective.
Yeah.
And we had contracts with power stations directly, and we also marketed and sold the material on to third parties to the market, so into ground engineering, and that was, so I joined RMC on a management program, went around the whole business of aggregate, cement, concrete, and settled into ash. And what I loved about ash was that I was dealing with all sorts of, so I'd be at a brick manufacturing site one day, and then I'd be building the M6 toll the next, and it was just fascinating. And there's not that many people, so it's a bit of a niche subject. So eventually sort of decided to specialise in it. And when RWE, big power utility, were deciding to look at building new coal-fired power stations, they went on a recruitment drive, and I joined them. So I worked on some designs and development for new build, and also worked directly for them for their existing coal-fired fleet. That obviously the world's changed and moved away from coal. So for that company, there was a limited amount of work for me. So it's either change what I do or join a company that had multiple contracts and a bit of an international network, and keep going with the knowledge that I had. So I joined Power Minerals about just over 6 years ago now, which seems to have gone quick. So I joined in a management position, and then Peter Brennan, who founded the company, retired. And then I took the director's position to succeed from Peter. So I think that was all part of the succession plan. Hopefully, it was part of the plan. It wasn't just a default. Oh well, he's there. But yeah, so that's how I got into ash, and that's over the course since probably 2002 when I first discovered ash.
Have you always had a fascination with power stations? Because I know whenever we're about driving around the place, if we see a power station, we take a photo and send it to you, and you always guess the name and know exactly which one it is without us telling you what it is. So
well, I'll tell you what I was fascinated with. Just huge. I was brought up. My first part of my career was very fine motor type stuff, sort of small components and delicate things for aircraft. And that was quite daunting. I was 16 when I started, going to this like big factory. The factory was big, but the components were small. And when I joined the cement industry, you go to a cement works and it is huge. I mean, the kit is massive equipment, huge sites, and it's just a different world. And then obviously with the power plants as well. I mean, they are just a scale. They are, like the modern wonders of the world, I think. And so I've always been travelling around, obviously been to most power plants in terms of the thermal one, the coal sites. I always take a little picture, pop it on for my followers on Facebook. I pop it on there to say, guess the power station. And I get about 3 comments from all those excited.
Does anyone ever get it right?
A few people get it right, but there's a few get it wrong. I quite like the There's one of my old colleagues. He always says if it's got a cooling tower, he always says not Aberthaw, which is in South Wales, and it doesn't have cooling towers. So he always gets it right when he says not Aberthaw, but he hasn't actually got it right. So there you go. It's an interesting world.
So over this period of power minerals found moving around and working from home, and your guys, have they? I guess the technology's helped as well.
Yeah. Well, to start with, obviously, when we moved to you guys, we were thinking ahead to this situation, well, it's quite fortunate actually that what we did enabled us to respond the way that we have. Very, very quickly, we were able to sort of, I think within an afternoon, we made a decision. I think we talked about it the week before and said, right, can we all work from home if we need to? And very quickly it was like, oh yeah, well, I can just plug this in there and plug that in there. And apart from the physical things at people's homes, we were there, no problem. And we had a meeting up in the office at Drax Power Station, where we've got our main office, and on the lunchtime, we were talking to all the staff one-to-one. I think that was the last time we were all together in a meeting room. And then on the way home, there was the government messages about working from home if you can. And this decision was made that evening. And then by the afternoon of the next day, everybody was at home working. No interruption whatsoever.
I don't know if this is the same for you, but I've got a feeling with some clients, they've always wondered our insistence on G Suite and why you should be using it. And I actually think this COVID has actually shown the reason why we insist on G Suite so much, because it was just such an easy transition for clients from one location to working from home.
Yeah, it has for us. And I think together with what we've done with what we did, moving to you guys with G Suite, and I was experiencing the value before. Maybe the people in the office were kind of, having to manage the change, and why do we need to change, and get familiar with X, Y, and Z. But I remember I was on a flight to America, to Boston, and paid for the broad, the internet on the flight, and I was just working from my phone all the way. The office was dropping me hangouts. Oh, what do you think about this inquiry? It's X, Y, and Z. And can we send them something? And I was getting documents from G Drive and saying, send them this, and just checking it, checking documents. And it was, I think the flight was in first thing in the morning. obviously took a day to get there, 8-hour flight, something like that. So I did a day's work. Don't know what time. Don't know what time it was with the time difference, etc. But I'd done my day's work. Everybody had gone home, and they didn't miss me. And I was, I was over the Atlantic somewhere. So that was great. But what's really now, with moving everybody from home, it's really coming to its own. And it's almost, and I was a bit tongue in cheek saying, yeah, we were prepared for this, and you were prepared for this. You said, you were like, well, you need to do this, because it was we were talked about, well, actually, if there's problems with servers and things like that, it's all there. It doesn't matter, you can get on the internet somewhere else, or you can go down to, if the internet goes down in your office, you can go and get the internet from McDonald's and get on there. And as long as you've got the internet, you're fine.
Yeah.
You can work from wherever and still run the business.
You guys have been having some quiz nights on Google Meet as well, I believe. Amy's been arranging quiz nights for you guys.
Yeah. We had a quiz afternoon, which did go down very well, actually. So we had about 10 to 12 people all on one screen, and you have the usual kind of, can you hear me? Are you on mute? Are you, just wait 5 minutes for it all to settle down. But I think that's great. It's been good to keep in touch, and it's also, we've done a lot more of this face-to-face video calls with Google Meet and Google Hangout Meets with the guys that are still in the business and not on furlough. And we've found, I think that we'll do more of this, rather, because we used to just call each other a lot, and you miss a lot of the communication.
We've just got to stop you guys from printing now.
Yeah. One thing at a time.
What's your favourite bit of technology in your personal life? Ivan, what can you not live without?
Well, I asked my wife this, and she said the iPhone, and I think she's right. So, I am an iPhone man, and I've been for some time.
If you're on a desert island, which 3 bits of technology would you take then? I guess iPhone would be one.
It'd be iPhone.
We should really ban that from the desert island, really, the iPhone, because it's just been on holiday if you've got your iPhone. We're banning the iPhone. What 3 non-internet devices, technology would you take?
Non-internet technology.
Well, let's say you can stream a TV program and stuff like that, but no communicative, no devices that allow you to communicate. That'd be interesting.
Oh, no communication. Yeah. Crikey, that is bad. That's like my life. It's just, we're constantly on the phone. I mean, obviously the wife's not very happy about it, but they're constantly on the phone for, like, social, business and pleasure.
Based on your recommendations that we're moving on to, I think you probably take Netflix with you.
Yeah, well, I was at a nice big digital TV and definitely to watch Netflix, but I was really thinking the desert island question, I just want communication with the outside world. And I'd also think that you're bound to be able to get deliveries. Amazon Prime are bound to deliver to any desert island.
Amazon drone flies across.
Yeah. Yep. So rather than having to actually sort of like, take the equipment and the technology for agriculture, I think.
So you'd have Amazon Prime and just order in everything you need.
Yeah, it's just more a luxury island. That's what I think.
Who inspires you? Anyone famous that inspires you that you look up to?
Well, it does lead on nicely, actually. And it's a bit of a weird one because Ben Fogle. So I think ever since that the program that they did, was it Castaway or Coast?
Yeah.
Castaway. And that sort of remote island, coming back to the remote island and surviving, and because I really get into watching this lives in the wild, and it's like living a life of subsistence. And it's kind of, maybe it's more of a dream for me, but I do keep going on to the wife about it. But I wouldn't do it to the extreme that some of these people would, because I would, as I've just said, like to have, you know, the communication tools. I'd like to you know, the technology in terms of energy, you know, the solar and the wind and maybe, you know, hydro, and create something that is a sustainable, maybe a small, you know, community. But that's kind of like a dream. And maybe if they, you know, but I do like that inspires me. Sure.
There's lots of YouTube channels about survival and stuff like that, actually, where people are building houses from what they can find, mud and sticks and stuff like that. And there's quite a lot of stuff on YouTube about what you're describing there that I think you quite like.
Well, you know, I can get hold of the building products. That's fine. You know, sustainable building products. You know, because that's, you know, built with recycled materials, good thermal properties. You know, so it wouldn't be like living in. I don't want to live like a caveman in like mud sticks, but sustainable. You know, not too remote either, so that we've, you know, you've got the, you know, the ability to get supplies. You know, and I know some of these people, you know, do go to. I mean, some of these people are like, literally, I've got a backpack and it's a tent, and that's it, and I'll roam the earth. You know, but it's no, I just like the idea of living a life of subsistence, and you need some sort of income to fund it. So maybe, you know, maybe we could do some trading from there, and or with the technology, the phone, the laptop, and the broadband, you know, get a lease line in.
Have a community podcast.
Community podcast. There you go.
And then 100 million.
Spotify or whoever could buy it for 100 million.
Exactly.
But I'd be able to look at. I just want to, you know, that sort of place with views for miles. You know, the ability to get outside and walk and enjoy the countryside. So yeah, Ben Fogle's my hero.
Super. That's an unusual one, like you said, but yeah, it all makes sense.
Yeah, Claire just says I'm a dreamer, but I say, Claire, come on, let's do it.
One day.
Yeah. Pay the mortgage off, and then we'll do it.
Let's move on to our recommendations now. Thanks for that, Ivan. That was a great interview. Hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I did.
So recommendations, Carl. We'll start with yours. You've got a book here. Go for it. Call to Fear.
Yes, this is a book that I picked up after watching Bowling for Columbine. I was going through Netflix and I'd never actually seen that film. A Culture of Fear, basically, and we've seen it with COVID-19, the media puts most people into a perpetual state of fear. And people believe that the world is a horrible, awful, dreadful place that's out to kill us all of the time, and it simply isn't true. And this book goes into depth about some of the classic hysteria that has happened throughout history, including vaccinations, autism through vaccination, aircraft deaths, and shows that we have very little to fear about aircraft deaths, particularly. The media makes it out as if it's the most dangerous thing ever, and it's not. It's the safest form of transportation. And it's a really interesting book. And if you know somebody or you are slightly paralyzed with fear about what the media tells you, this kind of book may help you feel a little bit better. And I found it to be really interesting. And particularly at the moment, now we need to come out of lockdown, we need to get cracking. And I know people that won't leave their houses. They are petrified and there's no rationale for it any longer.
I think that's a major problem at the moment because, you know, we've had the culture of fear rammed down our next keep us complying. And then apart from the guys that are shooting off down the beach and they don't care, but the majority of people are cautious, anxious, don't want, you know, about going back into the community.
So that's a good book if you want a book about that kind of thing.
Because
I'm next again.
Your next one is The People versus Oj Simpson. I believe you're rewatching this, aren't you? Because it's
I watched this docudrama on Netflix, and it's great. It's so good. It's the American crime series, and it's the famous case of The People versus Oj Simpson. And it's what's happening right now with George Floyd in America is going to be probably going to make that trial pale into insignificance when this one comes to trial of this police officer. Because the Oj Simpson trial was the first trial in which the black person won. And you watch it, you know he did it. It's known that he did it because he was found guilty in a civil case afterwards of guilt for the crime. And this is just a precursor to it. And it shows us perhaps that we don't learn a lot of things. It mentions the Rodney King beating, you see Oj Simpson, and it shows us that race is a huge issue. And all the stuff that we're seeing right now is not going to solve the problem. But boy, is that case going to be interesting, because if that case isn't guilty, there's going to be a tinderbox go up. So that show is well worth watching if you want to see a really interesting docudrama of the Oj Simpson case.
It's a great show. It's been on BBC and it's back on Netflix. And yeah, if you like that sort of kind of stuff, very much worth watching.
Really good.
My recommendation is next, but it's kind of a get out because I'm still in the middle of rewatching Spooks on BBC iPlayer. I love Spooks. It's the only box set that I've ever bought, and they re-put it on iPlayer during the lockdown to keep people entertained, and I've been rewatching it. So I have not actually watched or done anything else since the last podcast, still Spooks, but I've decided to recommend The Spectator magazine. Now, I like The Spectator online. It's got really good articles. It's good journalism and good researched articles. The problem with The Spectator website is you only get 2 free articles a month, and I was hitting that all the time, so I decided to subscribe to it. And the magazine that comes, quite a lot of it's a repeat of what's on the website, but it's got some good stuff in there. It's actually got a section I didn't realize it did. It had a money section, and one of the tips was to buy some shares in Carnival Cruises. So I went and did that just for the fun of it, and actually it's gone up in the shares up, so I'm quite happy with that.
Carnival Cruises.
Yeah. That makes sense, James. That makes sense, because the cruise industry will have been flattened dead by COVID, and people will be like, how that's going to... But it will come back. So you're right.
Carnival Cruises have quite a good business model. It hasn't got that much debt either and stuff like that. So it was a good tip on there. But it turns out they don't seem to do the money section on every edition of the magazine, because the last one that came, I went, I'm definitely look in this and see what other shares I should buy. And there was no money section in this one. So I don't know the pattern yet. I've only had 4 issues come through, so I don't know if it's just once a month they do the money section.
Are they hard copies? Are they hard copies or?
Yeah, it's proper paper magazine.
Yeah, you can have the print and magazine as well.
It's cheaper to get the whole package rather than just doing the online one. I think it's on the promotion they were doing anyway. They're always doing promotions all the time, but it's a great magazine, really worth reading. Good research. So we're on to back to you, Carl.
Yeah, back on. Sometimes you watch a show on Netflix and you go, I've got to watch the next episode. And that was the case with this episode of When They See Us, which is a docudrama of the 1989 Central Park jogger case. The late 1980s, early 1990s, New York was probably at its most violent and most dangerous as a city before Rudy Giuliani became mayor and started to change it with zero tolerance. And this docudrama explains the case of young black men who were framed for the rape and assault of a woman in Central Park in 1989. And it's harrowing watch. Some of it is a harrowing watch of the brutality that these young men suffered at the hands of the police, the court case, and then their prison time. However, it has a positivity, and it shows what those men have gone on to do when they were released from jail. And it's a great watch. It's about 6 hours in 4 episodes, and I couldn't put it down. Last Thursday night, I pretty much binged it from 6:30 till midnight. Just went through the whole thing, and it's really, really good. Fantastic acting, and a great story, and a true story as well. And again, it rings with what's happening in the world at the moment. It rings with the problem America has with racism and the police force. It's a good watch, really is.
So, Ivan, on to you now. It's your first recommendation, Netflix, The Last Kingdom.
Yeah, The Last Kingdom. I don't know if you guys have watched this one, but it's a series. I think it's the 3rd series that's just come out. So
is it filmed in China?
No, it's about the old England Saxons, England Wales, and the Vikings. The sort of so it's the Mercia region where we are, and the Kingdom of Mercia and the Kingdom of Wessex and Northumbria, and so it's really and escapism. Absolutely brilliant. You know, battles, you know, swords, and you know, fighting the Danes, and it's set about 1,000 years ago, and it's actually, you know, some of it's based on some elements of truth, like the characters. So yeah, it's a real good escapism. I didn't ever think I would. I'm not really. Apart from, I mean, I don't think I'm into like period type dramas, but I really got into the Last Kingdom, and just by recommendation from somebody. And when you get to the end, and you're gutted that it's the last episode of that series, that's when you know you've got a good one, and you can't wait for the next series to come out. You just buy into all the characters. It's not good if you don't like blood and gore and you know, swords. And
I've just looked at that, and I'm going to watch that. It looks great. I've just looked at the period of history it is. We're talking sort of 9th, 10th, 11th century stuff. So England's getting its ass kicked by people invading us left, right, and centre all over the shop, and it's that period of history of Ethelred, people like that.
Bamburgh Castle, Ethelred's in there, and Uhtred, and you know, and they're like defending these castles, and they had a battle in Wolverhampton recently, in Tettenhall, the Battle of Tettenhall.
No way.
So I was like, oh, is that where they've got the pool? You know, the paddling pool. So yeah, it's really good, and I do quite like that. I'm not big into my history there, but cracking series.
Staying on the medieval film, have you watched The King on Netflix about Henry V? That's got a fantastic battle scene at the end of Battle of Agincourt. It's a film, a Netflix film called The King. Came out last year, about Henry V, and that was a super film. I watched that as well, so I'd recommend that if you're.
Got so many notes.
I know. I'm adding to my list now.
Your next one, Ivan, is The Wrong Missy.
The Wrong Missy. Now, this is like totally just if you want to just have fun, and it's really kind of slapstick, kind of, you know, little bit naughty. But I don't know if you watched any of the Adam Sandler films, but really cheesy. Totally, if you want to switch off, it's just a really good comedy, and a bit extreme in parts, but yeah,
modern comedy.
Yeah, it's a new one. Yeah, it's a new film. It just, you know, as our Netflix kind of like, you know, as you put it on, it pushes the latest thing, you know, up there. So yeah, if you want to escape, it's a little bit cheesy.
Brand new, that is, James, 2020. It says.
The Wrong Missy, even.
Yeah,
and two books now. So you've got Nelson Mandela's Long Walk to Freedom and the Celestine Prophecy.
The Celestine Prophecy, or Celestine Prophecy, yeah. So it's been a good while since I've read these books, but they're just books that have left a lasting impression on me. Obviously, the Celestine Prophecy is a little bit more out there. It's more of a spiritual type of thing. Is it a factual or fiction book? It's fiction. When you read it, you read it as if it's based on truth. Yeah. But it's about these sort of scrolls that they find in, you know, South America, in Peru, and it's sort of it talks about this. I should have recapped before. What I pulled out of it was that, and it's kind of something that I live by. Like, you meet people for a reason, so coincidences don't happen for you know, just because it's a coincidence. There's a reason why you've met. So if you bump into somebody that you haven't seen for a while and you're the other side of the world, there's a reason. It's just finding out what those reasons are and giving people the time of day. So it's even when you meet new people, there's a reason why, you know, they've got in touch with you. Sometimes that ends up me trying to find a reason that there isn't, and it's completely wasting my time. And also these coincidences where you go to Australia and you bump into somebody, or Spain, and you go, oh, what a coincidence, I bumped into somebody from the same town that I live in. Well, it's not really, because the estate agents and the flights are going there, every day. But the Celestine Prophecy, it is a bit of a gripping read, and it's kind of one of those ones where you go, oh yeah, that's happened to me. So it questions your spiritual, or the meaning of life, if you like. And Nelson Mandela's Long Walk to Freedom. Wow, I mean, what a life that guy led, and how you can survive without giving up in the most awful conditions. In terms of the prison, the time spent in prison, and it's a really good book because it captures him from a very young age as well. So he's becoming a man, and it just inspires me to. I mean, I should have said that to my answer to who inspires you. Well, Ben Fogle.
Nelson Mandela.
But yeah, talk about being determined to survive and get through, and obviously I lived to say the celebrations and him become president. So from a terrorist, one person's freedom fighters, another man's terrorist. I think there's something in there, and you've got to look at that and think, what are we doing in terms of suppressing people and control, and so yeah, cracking book. I had another book just briefly, The Rise and Fall of the British Empire. A very long book, but it does put time in terms of from about 1600 through to the handover of Hong Kong. It puts the time, and when you look at these wars, you think they're World War II, World War One, but if you go back in time, and obviously if you look at the Last Kingdom, it's just what are human beings like? We're just constantly, it's just constant war. It's constantly killing each other.
I think it only will change if we find alien life, essentially, because it's a bit like the virus, in that everyone pulled together with this virus and seem to forget their differences. And I think if you find something that's completely different to you, that's attacking you, say, for example, alien life, that's probably the only thing that will pull humans together, because actually we'll kind of forget the differences and these gods and stuff like that and go, we need to sort these guys out who are trying to kill us.
We only pulled together to save our own hides. That's the reason people did. They pulled together because they want to save their own ass. When their own ass is safe, then they'll go mess with somebody else's. We're all monkeys underneath, and we love a good scrap, and it'll never end. That's my take on it. Never end. People just won't get with the program at the moment, this whole thing. Can we just deal with the fact that people die? Some people are arseholes. Some people will always be racist. I know it ain't nice. It's just the way it is, and you'll never change it, because if you're a scholar of history, as Ivan is showing, you will know that.
So we basically need an infinite supply of aliens to keep us entertained.
That's right, James. We need loads of aliens. Then we can. You're right. We would all get together against the aliens. And we need them to keep coming. But we're too busy fighting aliens then to do anything else.
We could just find another planet, get on an Elon Musk rocket, find another planet, and all the nice people could go there until they're fed up with each other and start killing each other.
I know we've got to sign out, and it's been a long one. I watched that live launch of the rocket. Brilliant. That was an uplifting moment. I was inspired by that, Ivan. To see that go, I was nervous because I'd watched Challenger as a kid live on television.
Oh, I watched it. I watched that.
And to see it come back and land, although they lost the camera for that bit. I just love the fact that rocket can come back and land. So clever. So clever.
And and seeing the footage, obviously, after the event, but when 19 hours later, they kind of like hook up in space and joined up with the other guys up there. It's absolutely awesome.
There's been some quite funny memes online, because now they've got the camera behind the astronauts looking at the screens that they're touching when they're taking off.
Yeah.
But those screens were blue. Because they're blue screens, some people have stuck on there where Windows updates kicked in, otherwise they're playing computer games. But anyway, best to round it up now. Thank you, Ivan, for coming on. That's been a great interview and a great show, and your recommendations are superb.
Indeed, yeah.
And was Ivan just hung?
It's been a pleasure.
You're still there, good. Well, let's.
I'm here.
We'll wrap it up now. So thanks for listening, and if you like this episode, don't forget to subscribe for more and like this video on YouTube. We'll see you in a fortnight's time. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Ivan.
See you. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.